Tonight, we journey together into a tale long lost to the ages, a story that weaves through the heart of Skyrim and touches the mysteries of Tamriel itself, where the winds of time whisper through snowy peaks and forgotten ruins. The past lingers, waiting to be uncovered. This is the story of the Forgotten Scroll, a relic whispered of in legend but seldom seen. Our tale begins in Solitude, where a determined scholar discovers a fragile and time-worn scroll. The words upon it hold secrets that echo through history, secrets that lead them into the depths of Skyrim's frozen wilderness. Let's gather beneath the vast starry skies of Tamriel to step into a story etched in the fabric of this ancient land. Welcome to a tale of wonder, where each word is a step on a path of discovery, and every moment brings you closer to the serene embrace of rest. As we unravel this story, let its gentle rhythm carry you into a realm of calm and wonder. If you enjoy this journey through Tamriel's legends, we invite you to support us by liking this video, subscribing to our channel, or leaving a comment below. Your support allows us to share more tales like this and continue crafting worlds for you to explore. Before we start our tale, I would like to know from where you are listening and what time it is for you. Now, let us step into the quiet magic of this night, where the stars watch over us and the stories of the past wait to be heard. Our story begins in Solitude, a city of towering walls and regal spires overlooking the sea of ghosts. Within its grand libraries, where shelves stretch endlessly and dust motes dance in shafts of light, a young scholar named Eryndil spends countless hours searching for forgotten knowledge. Eryndil is no stranger to these quiet halls. They have been both sanctuary and prison. A Nord by birth but raised among scholars, Eryndil has always felt out of place in a world that values strength of arm over strength of mind. Yet it is within these ancient texts that they feel a connection to the world, a link to the past and to secrets long buried. Eryndil's life has been shaped by a deep yearning for answers. As a child, they were captivated by the songs of Skyrim's bards, tales of heroic deeds and ancient magic. But one tale stood out above the rest, the legend of the Forgotten Scroll. It was said to hold the power to reveal truths about the early days of Tamriel, secrets lost when the gods still walked among mortals. Most dismissed it as myth, but to Eryndil, it was an obsession. It wasn't just curiosity that drove them. Eryndil had always sought a way to prove themselves in a land that valued warriors. The Forgotten Scroll, if it existed, could change everything. Not just for history, but for them. For years, their quest had been fruitless, until one cold evening in the dim light of the library's hearth, their fingers traced across a brittle parchment with strange symbols. At first, it seemed to be nothing more than an old record, until Eryndil noticed a faint inscription hidden within the text. A riddle that spoke of a hidden chamber deep within the mountains, guarded by silence and shadow. The discovery reignited Eryndil's determination. They spent days deciphering the riddle, piecing together fragments of lore scattered across old tomes. Each clue seemed to point to the Pale, a harsh and unforgiving region of Skyrim, where the snow never melts and the wind howls like a restless spirit. It was there, among the frozen wastes, that the next chapter of the Forgotten Scroll story would begin. Despite their excitement, doubt lingered. What if the scroll was merely a tale spun by bards? What if they were chasing shadows? But the longing for purpose, for validation, drowned out the whispers of uncertainty. With a pack filled with notes, maps, and provisions, Eryndil set out from Solitude under the pale light of Massers and Secunda. Though the road ahead was treacherous, their heart carried the warmth of hope and the promise of discovery. For the first time in years, they felt the pull of destiny, a calling to uncover a truth that had been lost to Tamriel's endless winters. Eryndil's journey began at the gates of Solitude, where the familiar sounds of bustling merchants and clanging smithy hammers faded into the crisp stillness of the northern wilderness. The cobbled roads gave way to snow-dusted trails, winding through ancient forests where the trees stood like sentinels, their gnarled branches clawing at the sky. The scholar's breath puffed out in soft clouds as the cold began to bite, but the excitement in their heart kept them warm. The Pale stretched out before them like a blank canvas, its vast expanse marked by jagged peaks and frozen rivers. Here, the snow fell endlessly, blanketing the world in a muffled quiet that seemed to whisper secrets to those who dared to listen. Eryndil paused often, their keen eyes scanning the landscape for signs of the landmarks described in the fragmented texts. The first clue had mentioned a valley where the sunlight rarely reached, guarded by the remnants of ancient standing stones. Days passed in this wintry expanse, the rhythm of the journey steady and calming. Each step was accompanied by the crunch of snow beneath sturdy boots, the occasional creak of frost-laden branches, and the distant calls of wolves echoing through the mountains. As Eryndil climbed higher into the hills, the landscape began to change. Strange carvings appeared on stone outcroppings, runes worn smooth by time, but still faintly glowing with the remnants of old magics. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the sky turned to a wash of indigo and silver, Eryndil stumbled upon a hidden glade. It was an enchanting sight, a circle of ancient Nordic stones standing in silent vigil around a frozen pond. The air here felt heavier, as though it carried the weight of unseen eyes. Eryndil approached cautiously, running gloved fingers over the carvings etched into the stones. They recognized the symbols from their research, each one matching the riddle's cryptic descriptions. This was the place. The first piece of the puzzle lay here, waiting to be uncovered. Drawing out their notes, Eryndil began to decipher the markings, their breath hanging in the air as the night deepened. The runes seemed to tell a story, one of an ancient Nordic chieftain who had hidden something of great importance in a cave beneath the glade. The entrance, however, was concealed by a clever mechanism, a puzzle that could only be solved by aligning the stones to reflect the constellations above. Eryndil worked tirelessly, moving from stone to stone, adjusting their positions until the faint light of Maser and Secunda struck the markings just so. A deep rumble echoed through the glade as the frozen pond began to crack, revealing a narrow staircase spiraling downward into the earth. The air grew colder, almost unnaturally so, as Eryndil descended into the dark. The cave that awaited below was vast and breathtaking, its walls glittering with frost crystals that reflected the light of Eryndil's lantern in 1,000 directions. Stalactites hung like frozen spears from the ceiling, and the sound of dripping water echoed faintly in the stillness. The path wound deeper, leading to a large chamber where a single pedestal stood, covered in more Nordic runes. On the pedestal rested a small carved key, its design unmistakably Dwemer in origin, a strange contrast to the Nordic architecture surrounding it. As Eryndil reached for the key, a low hum resonated through the cavern, sending a shiver down their spine. It was not threatening, but rather melodic, as though the very walls of the cave were singing. The scholar paused, listening intently. Could this be the echo of an ancient song mentioned in the texts? Whatever it was, it seemed to be guiding them, pulling them further into the mystery. The key in hand, Eryndil retraced their steps, their mind racing with possibilities. The texts had spoken of Dwemer craftsmanship intertwined with Nordic legends, a partnership long lost to history. What could they have created together, and why was it hidden so deep beneath the frozen earth? As Eryndil emerged back into the glade, the first rays of dawn painted the snow in hues of pink and gold, and for the first time since leaving Solitude, they felt a true sense of purpose. The journey had only just begun, and yet they were already unraveling threads of a story older than the mountains themselves. Eryndil's journey led them deeper into the frigid wilderness, guided by the key they had uncovered and the cryptic clues inscribed in their notes. The riddle etched into the ancient Nordic stones spoke of a hidden chamber, a place where the voices of the past still lingered. As the snow-covered landscape stretched endlessly before them, the scholar couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, not by anything sinister, but by the very land itself. as though Skyrim's frozen heart guarded its secrets jealously. The key's intricate craftsmanship hinted at Dwemer origins, a stark contrast to the Nordic ruins where it had been found. Dwemer relics were a rare and puzzling treasure, and their presence here deepened the mystery. Eryndil's studies had revealed accounts of ancient collaborations between the Nords and the Dwemer, alliances forged in desperate times. Could this key be a relic of such a partnership? And if so, what lay hidden behind the doors it was meant to unlock? The answers began to take shape as Eryndil stumbled upon a secluded ravine, its entrance obscured by a heavy curtain of icicles. Beyond, the terrain shifted dramatically. The air was colder here, the sunlight dimmed as though the very atmosphere resisted intrusion. At the ravine's end stood a grand stone door, its surface adorned with swirling Nordic patterns entwined with unmistakable Dwemer glyphs. The key fit perfectly into the lock, and with a deep, echoing groan, the door creaked open, revealing a winding stairway descending into darkness. The chamber below was unlike anything Eryndil had ever seen. The architecture blended Nordic strength with Dwemer ingenuity. Towering stone pillars adorned with gleaming brass fittings, their surfaces carved with runes that glowed faintly in the dim light. The air was thick with an unearthly hum, a melody that seemed to emanate from the very walls. The sound was haunting yet beautiful, resonating deep within Eryndil's chest like the echo of a forgotten lullaby. In the center of the chamber stood a massive circular platform, surrounded by an array of intricate machinery. At its heart lay an ornate pedestal, atop which rested an object shrouded in a faint, shimmering light. As Eryndil approached, their breath caught. The object was a scroll, its surface marked with runes unlike any they had encountered before. The parchment seemed almost alive, its glow pulsing gently as though in rhythm with the melodic hum of the chamber. The scholar reached out hesitantly, their fingers trembling as they touched the scroll's surface. A rush of energy coursed through them, not painful, but overwhelming. A flood of images, sounds, and sensations that seemed to span centuries. They saw glimpses of battles long past, of Nords and Dwemer standing side by side against an unseen foe. They heard the mournful songs of the snow elves and felt the weight of a sorrow that transcended time. And then, as quickly as it began, the vision ended, leaving Eryndil gasping for breath. Before they could collect their thoughts, a voice broke the stillness. "You've come far, traveler," it said, its tone deep and resonant, like the echo of a distant mountain. Eryndil spun around, their lantern casting flickering shadows on the chamber walls. From the darkness emerged a figure, a Falmer, but unlike any Eryndil had seen before. This one stood tall, their milky eyes focused with a clarity that seemed impossible. Draped in robes adorned with intricate patterns, they carried themselves with an air of quiet authority. "I am Alvrin," the figure said, their voice tinged with both weariness and wisdom. "Keeper of this place, guardian of the scroll you now hold. Few have come this far, and fewer still have dared to touch what lies here." Eryndil, though startled, found their voice. I am a scholar, seeking the truth of Tamriel's past. The scroll called to me, its legend lost to time. What is it? Why is it hidden here?" Alvrin stepped closer, their gaze fixed on the glowing scroll. "This is no ordinary scroll. It holds the song of our people, the snow elves, now known as Falmer. It is a fragment of our history, preserved through the ages by those who refused to let it fade. It tells of a time when we were not the creatures of shadow you know us as now, but a proud and noble people, betrayed and broken. This chamber is all that remains of that legacy." As Alvrin spoke, the hum of the chamber seemed to swell, the melody growing richer and more layered. Eryndil felt a pang of sorrow for the Falmer, a race so often dismissed as mindless monsters. "But why share this with me?" they asked. "Why not keep it hidden?" "Because the world must know," Alfrin replied. "The scroll holds more than history. It holds the key to understanding, to bridging the divide between what was and what is. If you are willing, traveler, it is your task to carry this song forward, to give voice to those who can no longer speak." Eryndil's heart swelled with both fear and determination. The weight of the scroll in their hands felt heavier now, not as an artifact, but as a responsibility. They nodded, their voice steady. "I will do my best to honor this trust." As Alfred stepped back into the shadows, their parting words lingered in the air. "Go, then, and remember, the song is not just for the past, it is for the future." Eryndil left the chamber with the scroll safely tucked away, their mind racing with the revelations they had uncovered. The melody of the chamber seemed to follow them as they ascended the stairs, its haunting beauty a reminder of the journey yet to come. The mystery of the forgotten scroll had only deepened, and Eryndil knew their path was far from over. The frigid air outside the chamber felt sharper against Eryndil's skin as they emerged, clutching the forgotten scroll tightly. Each step they took away from the hidden sanctuary seemed heavier, as if the scroll itself resisted being carried into the light of Skyrim's unforgiving wilderness. But the words of Alvrin echoed in their mind. This song was not merely a relic of the past. It was a bridge, a hope for understanding and reconciliation. As the frozen winds howled around them, Eryndil felt the weight of their responsibility deepen. The scroll's runes glimmered faintly, responding to the faint touch of moonlight filtering through the clouds. It was alive, pulsating with a rhythm that mirrored the hum of the chamber they had left behind. The song contained within was more than history. It was a living memory, a plea from the snow elves to be remembered not as shadows, but as the noble people they once were. Eryndil's thoughts were interrupted by a faint sound carried on the wind, a haunting melody, similar to the one they had heard in the depths of the chamber. They paused, turning toward its source, and found themselves facing a jagged ridgeline where the light of Maser and Secunda illuminated a small path. Compelled by the melody, they followed it, their breath visible in the biting cold. The path led to a narrow ledge overlooking a vast chasm. Below, faint flickers of light danced like fireflies in the dark, and the melody swelled. The scroll in Eryndil's hands began to glow brighter, and as they unrolled it once more, the runes shimmered and shifted, forming a sequence they had not seen before. It was as though the song of the scroll was awakening, guiding them toward a resolution. At the edge of the chasm, the melody grew louder, and Eryndil noticed something extraordinary. A network of bridges, carved from ice and stone, connecting the cliffs to a central platform suspended above the abyss. With cautious steps, they crossed the first bridge, the scroll's glow illuminating the way. As they reached the platform, the air grew still, and the melody seemed to emanate from every direction. At the platform's center stood a pedestal, much like the one in the chamber below, but this one was adorned with intricate carvings of snow elves and dwemer figures. The carvings depicted a scene of unity, of shared knowledge and mutual respect. It was a stark contrast to the tales of betrayal that had come to define the snow elves' history. Eryndil felt a pang of sorrow. This was the world they had lost, preserved only in stone and song. The scroll seemed to pulse in their hands, urging them forward. Placing it gently on the pedestal, they stepped back as the melody reached a crescendo. The glow of the scroll expanded, enveloping the platform in a warm, golden light. The runes lifted from the parchment, dancing in the air like embers from a fire, weaving together in patterns too intricate for mortal understanding. In that moment, Eryndil felt the presence of countless voices, not in words, but in emotions. Joy, sorrow, hope, and regret washed over them, each one a fragment of the snow elf's story. The melody shifted, becoming fuller, more harmonious, as if the song was finally complete after centuries of silence. The light coalesced into a single point above the scroll before dispersing, leaving the platform bathed in a soft glow. As the glow faded, the scroll lay still, its runes now dormant, but its purpose fulfilled. Eryndil felt a deep sense of calm, as though the burden of history had lifted, if only slightly. The song had been sung, the story shared, and the echoes of the snow elves would not be forgotten. With renewed determination, Eryndil retrieved the scroll and began the long journey back towards Solitude. The melody still lingered in their mind, not as a haunting refrain, but as a promise, a reminder that even in loss, there is hope. The forgotten scroll had revealed its truth, and it was now Eryndil's task to carry its message into the world, to ensure that the song of the snow elves would never fade again. As the sun began its slow ascent, casting pale golden light over Skyrim's frozen landscape, Eryndil found themselves pausing atop a ridge. The journey back to Solitude would be long, but in this quiet moment, they allowed the significance of what they had uncovered to settle over them. The scroll, now safely tucked into their satchel, no longer pulsed with its earlier glow, but its weight remained, not as a burden, but as a profound responsibility. Eryndil's mind lingered on the images and emotions the scroll had revealed. The vibrant civilization of the snow elves, their artistry, and their eventual descent into the shadows of history. The sorrow of their loss was undeniable, but so too was the beauty of what they had created. A legacy preserved in stone, song, and memory. It was a reminder that even in the face of betrayal and despair, the threads of hope and unity endured, waiting for someone to find and weave them back into the present. They gazed across the expanse of snow-covered peaks, the jagged mountains rising like sentinels against the sky. The world seemed vast and eternal, yet the scroll had shown that even the mightiest of civilizations could fade. Eryndil thought of Alvrin's words, the plea to carry the song forward, to give voice to those who could no longer speak. It was not just a task, it was a calling. The quiet hum of the melody still lingered in their mind, not as a haunting echo, but as a comforting refrain. It was a song that spoke of resilience, of the bonds between people and the stories they shared. Eryndil reflected on their own journey, the doubts they had faced, and the courage it had taken to pursue a truth that many dismissed as mere myth. In this moment, standing alone on the ridge, they felt a kinship with the snow elves, as if their struggles and hopes were not so different from their own. As the morning light spread across the land, Eryndil resumed their journey, their footsteps steady and purposeful. The scroll would find its place among the great collections of Solitude's library, but its story would not remain hidden. Eryndil vowed to share what they had discovered, to ensure that the snow elf's song would be heard by those willing to listen. Perhaps it could inspire understanding, even healing, in a world so often divided by fear and mistrust. The path wound down through frost-laden forests, the air filled with the faint scent of pine. The crackling of distant ice floes and the gentle rustle of the wind through bare branches created a symphony of nature's own making. Eryndil let these sounds wash over them, blending with the melody in their heart. The journey had been one of discovery, but also one of growth, a reminder that even the smallest steps towards understanding could resonate through time. By the time Eryndil reached the outskirts of Solitude, the city's spires stood silhouetted against the midday sky. The bustle of the marketplace and the distant toll of bells brought them back to the present, yet they carried with them the quiet serenity of the journey. As they stepped through the gates, they imagined the scroll's song finding its way into the hearts of others, sparking curiosity, reflection, and perhaps even a sense of wonder. Before heading to the library, Eryndil found a quiet spot overlooking the sea. The waves crashed gently against the cliffs below, their rhythm steady and calming. Sitting there, they pulled the scroll from their satchel one last time, running their fingers over its intricate runes. It felt different now, less like an enigma and more like an old friend. They whispered a quiet thank you to the snow elves, to Alvern, and to the land of Skyrim itself for guiding them on this journey. As they rolled the scroll back into its protective case, Eryndil rose, their heart light despite the gravity of their task. The stories of Tamriel had always been there, waiting to be found, and Eryndil now understood that their role was not just to uncover them, but to share them, ensuring that the echoes of the past continue to resonate into the future. With a final glance at the horizon, Eryndil turned and began walking toward the library. The scroll's song was no longer just a melody. It was a story that would live on, whispered through the halls of history and carried in the hearts of those willing to listen. The journey had not ended, but rather transformed, becoming a part of something greater, a legacy that would endure.